Yeah, Chevy roots for sure. I
Very
mean, we're going back, mid 80s, mid 80s. That's Ford sucked back then. I mean, they were ugly. Dodge, you couldn't have a Dodge.
no,
You could not have a
no,
Dodge.
no,
No.
no. And there he is, ladies and gentlemen, joining me right now on the Talking About Cars podcast. Bill Carlton, you know him, you love him, the big cheese, the top guy at Extensive Metalworks in beautiful downtown Houston, Texas. It's Extensive with a K. Bill, thanks for joining us, man.
Yes, sir, Randy. Thanks for having me, man.
Hey, first off, the question that everybody's asking, who came up with the idea to spell extensive with a K?
Well, that goes way back to, 1996. I had my first magazine cover, a mini trucking magazine back then. I worked on friends' cars, worked on their friends' cars, and it kind of, I started earning some extra money back then with just working on buddies' cars, because I didn't never charge my buddies. I was just kind of learning, just kind of, taking my skill of welding, grinding, cutting, to something I love doing was working on cars. I'm a third generation welder fabricator, and I just kind of took what my grandpa taught my dad taught me over to the automotive side. My dad hated working on cars. So, I just kind of took that into my passion of just kind of tinkering with cars. And here we are, man. It just kind of evolved into a business. I never set out to say, man, I'm going to have a cool custom shop one day, and just kind of, mess with cars. And in my spare time, my dad had a welding business, and we sold steel, sold welding supplies. So I kind of sat on my butt most of the time, and that was, hated it. So buddies' cars would roll up. I'd get the jack out and just, pull the wheels off, start tinkering stuff, and rest is history. Out on a rock driveway, I would sweep the rocks and kind of, work on my back with jack stands, on a clean spot of the driveway. And, here we are now.
Absolutely. Well, we always get into the history and your car history. So let's go back, turn the Wayback Machine to when you were just a youngin'. And the question being the family. Were they a Chevy family? Were they a Ford family? And in your case, were they a car family or a truck family?
Oh, definitely a truck family, but and Chevy all the way.
Chevy.
Yeah, Chevy roots for sure. I mean, we're going back, mid 80s, mid 80s. That's Ford sucked back then. I mean, they were ugly. Dodge, you couldn't have a Dodge.
No?
You could not have a Dodge. No. No.
Good for you. I like the fact that you could still tell that Chevy thing still burns in you from when you were young.
Absolutely. Hey, don't get me wrong. I like Fords and Dodges now too, but my heart's still there with Chevy for sure.
Don't you have like a Plymouth in your season 4? If I saw it right? I think. Or was that from season 3 and I just missed it in a promo?
There's a season 2, I believe.
Okay.
The Belvedere.
Yeah, the red one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it goes a ways back, but we got love for them too.
Okay, so what was your first car?
A 1983 Chevy Silverado long bed. And I got it in 1986 when I had my driver's license. I was 16, got my driver's license, and my dad got me that truck. It was 3 years old, super clean, and I just destroyed it.
Now, when you say destroy it, so you mean you took it apart piece by yourself, or
I fixed it up?
Ah, okay.
I was learning back then. get the torch out, chop the springs, pull out leaf springs, and just make it drag the ground.
Uh-huh.
Pull off the chrome, started primering some spots, before you know it, the whole thing's primered, sitting low to the ground. Looks horrible, but I loved it. I loved it. That's where it started.
That's where it started. Okay.
Yep.
So from there you went on to what, running into other guys that happen to have similar loves, I guess you could say?
Yeah, buddies that, wanted some things done to their vehicles, their trucks, mainly. I mean, mainly it was just a truck scene that I was involved in. I was a part of the Trendsetter Truck Club back in the mid 90s, which, really propelled my love for vehicles, and just being around that, that truck culture. Just, I loved it. I loved it.
Very cool. Got it. You got to like that. What was it about trucks, though? What was it about trucks that really got you? And that truck you said was your first vehicle. Did you buy it from somebody? Was it handed down by the family or what?
On my first car, my
Yeah,
first truck,
first truck.
my dad, I picked it out. We were looking for trucks. I just had to have a truck, and we just found that particular one, and you know had to have it.
Very cool. Very cool. So, uh, the vehicles that you now have in your garage, and if you've ever seen the show, you know that he's had some really cool trucks in there and some really cool cars as well. Tell me a little bit about your personal cars that you currently have in your garage.
Well, I have the Baja truck that we did on season one. That's, man, I love that truck. I love trying to destroy it on a daily basis. It's a Ford, but it's fun.
Uh-huh.
And I do destroy it on a daily basis, actually. But man, it's really fun. It just, haul ass on the highway, and just, if you want to get off, you want to get on the feeder, there's no exit. You just go through the grass, go through the ditch, whatever.
You can do that off the freeway in Houston?
In certain parts, with no one around, no problem.
That's key. I think that's very key, with no one around. I think that is something that probably is a prerequisite, if you ask me.
Well, no cops around.
Right. Well, it goes without saying. I completely get you. Otherwise, it would be Texas metal as I weld my way out of jail. So it would probably be something completely different. So is there a vehicle that you had, because you've had a few and probably no longer have some, is there a vehicle that you would, let's say, no longer have, but would one day want to get back?
Man, I'm always searching for the next one, my next favorite. I don't really look back on and miss anything that I have had. I just enjoy what I have at the time, and pass it on and create something new. I mean, that's what I love to do. Just sitting in the garage, and that does nothing for me. I have a few cars, usually at one time, that I trade off driving, having fun with, but I don't look back on them.
Let's talk about the concept of Texas Metal. And you started this, I believe, your company in the mid 90s. And so you were doing these cars. How about did it get from where you were then when you first started things off? Who noticed you, and how did you get on TV?
Well, I've been going to car shows ever since, started fixing up my first car. So, 1994 started the air suspension part of extensive. I started, building suspensions in 1994, 1994, 95. And, it really started to get a lot of momentum. People seeing what was going on, and the trucks going low to the ground, and just, the line started forming for sure, and go back to 1998, January 98. I wanted to get my first lift because, I was tired of working on jack stands. So I actually had to get a bank account. make my business legit, get a bank account, file for a DBA to get a loan for my first lift. So, had to make it legit back then. So that official business date is January 1998, and just been building momentum, since then, going to car shows. And the walls in my shop were, from 1996 magazine plaques until, recent ones. There's hundreds and hundreds of them. And, just people reading the magazines, growing up reading the magazines, finally getting a legit job, can afford to come get some work done. And we've worked on, buddies that become dads and had their sons come in and daughters come in and get work done also. It's been a hell of a ride and been really, really cool to get to where we're at. We've just been doing crazy stuff that no one else does. And of course, I mean, everybody's been taking notice since day one. And it finally led to a couple of producers to really go, damn, that's real cool. Everybody needs to see it. And here we are.
Very cool. Very cool indeed. Now, your season 4 started up, and I noticed that we had talked before we started recording here. You haven't seen like episode 1 yet of this season. Okay.
No, I have not. I'm really excited to watch it with my family. I'll get around the TV in the living room and I'll watch it for the first time.
Do you have the Motor Trend app? I know this is a tricky question, but do you have the Motor Trend app?
Who doesn't have the Motor Trend app?
That is exactly the right answer. Very good. Ding, 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 ding. Okay.
They're losers.
Flop Sweat over at Motor Trend now is no longer. Yeah, that is exactly the right answer. So I was watching it, of all things, as I had mentioned previous, on the treadmill as I was going through. And your show is interesting because one of the vehicles you're working on is a 1968 Ford Ranger pickup. Mm-hmm. But this wasn't just any schlubby car sitting out in the field somewhere that somebody wanted to fix. The guy that bought it, apparently a previous customer or one that's done many vehicles with you, and he brought it in, and frankly, it looked pretty good, like it had been restored recently. And right. There seemed to be a lot of angst, not only from you, but from me on the treadmill, and probably from anybody that's going to watch this, and your own crew, which I thought was really unique about, oh man, this thing has been really done to the nines, and we're going to completely fix it and make it better. Tell me a little bit about that, because that angst doesn't look like it was real. I mean, let me rephrase. The angst does not look like it was faked.
No, I mean, you can tell, somebody took their time somebody was really proud of this truck to fix it. Now, they spent a lot of time and effort and even money, getting it to where it was at. And there's no telling what shape it was before they got a hold of it, but they did a really good job. But, when it's to that point, it's the perfect point to get it in the shop and just cut it totally apart. It's nice to get a 1968 truck in the shop and not have to just totally replace all the panels because they're rusted out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so it was nice. It was nice.
Well, yeah, and it's a vehicle that you do not see customized a lot. I mean, there's a lot of Ford trucks out there, but right. For some reason, that particular year, or at least those years, I believe it was 60, 67, 68, 69-ish, in that general vicinity. It was a completely different, it was an upgrade as far as a style was concerned. They had done a remodel on it, Ford had, but you don't see a lot of vehicles like that doing what you guys did to it, which was make it better. And talk a little bit about some of the upgrades that you remember doing, because this was a complete teardown fix-up.
Well, that's exactly what it was. I mean, the only thing that's really factory on that truck anymore is the cab, bedsides, tailgate, fenders, and grill. I mean, that is it. Everything else is pretty much handmade. I mean, we hand make when we build a chassis, we don't order a chassis and, we don't call up anybody and say, hey, I need a chassis for a 69 and make it real low for me. Go to the steel rack and pull off steel, start cutting it up and making it to the truck, to the wheels and tires, to the truck, as low as you want it. I mean, that's what we do.
It's interesting. Yeah. Just the way, and it, with the huge wheels, how big were those wheels? Do you remember?
24 by 15s in the rear and 24 by 9s in the front. And it sits completely flat on the ground.
Think about what he just said. 24s in the front, 29s, right? 29s in the back?
No, 24 by 15. So they're 24 inches tall.
Right.
15 inches wide.
And we're not talking about a new car. We're talking about a car from the late 60s, a truck from the late 60s. So it is a distinctively different look. And if you want to make sure the body's slammed to the ground, you're going to have to put in the wheel wells that are that high. You're going to have to make all the changes. And you guys did it. And at the end, it looked pretty awesome. And for those of you who might be checking out our YouTube show, we're going to have a picture of that on there. So that's kind of interesting the way they put it together. And you've done some other vehicles, but you also do cars as well. What's been one of your favorite cars that somebody has come to and you guys have done, and the story behind that off the top of your head?
One for the previous owner of the 68 Ranger. It was a brand new, I believe it was season 2 of Texas Metal. Marcos Chavez's brand new 2018 ZL1 Camaro. The dealership delivered it to my shop. We immediately put it on the rack and just cut it totally apart and put 24 by 15s on the back of it. Built an all aluminum frame, engine upgrades, nitrous. The car was totally insane. You won't see another one like that ever.
Wow. You sound so excited. It's just like I can tell when you were a kid, you probably took Tinker Toys or whatever you did and just completely were able to tear down stuff and rebuild stuff. Am I correct?
Absolutely. I've always had that passion, just took that passion when I was a kid, to the automotive side. And, not just me, everyone in my team has that same passion. We love coming to work. We love kicking ass, getting dirty. And every single one of us are out working all day, every day. I hate being in the office. I'm out. Anybody comes to this shop any day of the week, I'm in the shop with my guys working dirty from head to toe, grinding, welding, whatever it takes to get the job done. That's what we do.
What do you say?
Every day.
Everybody says if you love what you're doing, you never work a day in your life. Absolutely.
That's partly true, but
well, partly, yeah. Hey, welcome back, Bill Carlton, right over there, joining us from Texas Metal. You can see it on, well, it used to be Velocity. Now, of course, it is the Motor Trend channel and the Motor Trend app. Going into season 4. I'm Randy Cardoon. Thanks for joining us on the Talking About Cars podcast. So, Bill, we talked a little bit about the car and the truck that got away, which you didn't really have. I understand that. But we do always have a list. I think everybody who's a car dude or a truck dude has a list of the top vehicles they want someday. What is at the top? Give me a couple of cars, a couple of trucks that is on the top of your list that you're just salivating over getting your hands on one day.
Man, that's a tough question because, usually, if you want something hard enough, you're going to work your ass off until you get it. Right.
True.
And that's the type of guy I've always been. But, if you're going to make me reach really hard, Randy, I'm going to have to. Man, that's a tough one.
See, the thing is he's probably already found most of them, right? I'd imagine.
Yeah. I mean,
give me some of the ones then, if something's just not coming to mind, something that you have worked on that you kind of always wanted that you did get.
I tell you what I am anticipating, Randy, I'm a car guy, and I hate to say it, part of being a car guy is getting behind the wheel, stepping on the gas and feeling the throttle, push you back in the seat, hearing the sound of that engine, right? Well, I just ordered an electric Hummer. I don't think don't think bad of me
Wait a minute,
about
my headset
electric
just
vehicles.
exploded. Wait, what? Texas Metal just ordered a what?
Exactly. It's supposed to be 1,000 horsepower Hummer,
Oh,
all electric. So I'm kind of excited to really see, the Teslas are killing it right now. I mean, I'm excited to see what this Hummer is going to do, as soon as it comes in. It's supposed to be the 2022. And
the new one.
so,
Okay.
so we're gonna see what happens when it comes out. I'm sure you can stay tuned and see what we're gonna do to it. We're gonna make it cool one way, shape, or form.
That'll look
And
cool because we actually did an episode podcast on the Hummer uh, electric utility vehicle, if you will,
mm-hmm.
EV, and wow, and
you know,
especially we had so much fun with the crab walk. Did
yeah,
you know the crab walk? That
yeah,
how cool is the crab walk where you're going to be able to go down and then just kind of go, I'm going to go this way.
right. I guess, Randy, on that, to answer that question, to finalize that question you just asked me, go from the Hummer to the exact opposite. I just drove a Pro Mod. I'm not really a race car guy, but I just went down the track with a Pro Mod, and I think that would maybe have to be on my short list of next vehicles also. So
So,
electric vehicle to a Burnout King Pro Mod is pretty far stretch.
so if you, well, that is quite the gamut. I'll give you that. That is absolutely quite the gamut. So if you had a choice and you weren't in the business you're in and you had a choice between, let's say, NASCAR driver or NHRA, which would it be? Hot
Oh
Rod
man,
Association or NASCAR?
man,
You, this guy wants to do both. I know it's hard choice.
both guys get the chick. So
Well, good point there. Yeah, fast cars. Yeah, yeah. All right. So what you're saying is you want to do a little of both.
man, that'd be cool. I mean, why just limit yourself, right?
Sounds like one of those beer commercials. Remember those beer commercials? I think it was Miller Lite, where you would say something like, in fact, I voiced one of those many years ago. It was the one about wrestling and a cooking show. I actually was the voice of the ring announcer in that. And so, you see some grandma with a flower, whatever, trying to go after a wrestler in a ring. See, that's what you would like to do. Take NHRA and somehow meld it with NASCAR. How cool would that be?
I think we got a new sport.
Are you with me?
I'm with you.
I think so. I think so. And if anybody asks, hey, where'd you hear it first? You heard it right here on the Talking About Cars podcast. That's right. By the way, Motor Trend TV, they've got so many cool people on the show, and they always get them together for like SEMA and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Is there one person you have yet to meet that you want to meet from the SEMA show of hosts? Not the SEMA, but Motor Trend hosts that maybe you haven't met before?
I've met a lot of people over the years, a lot through SEMA and different events from the network. And, I can't say enough. Truly, I'm impressed with everyone I do meet. I mean, they're all down to earth people that have become my friends over the years. And, it's really, really cool to get to do what I do and to meet cool people and to be a part of something that's really, really cool also.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. In fact, we ran into, that's the thing that's really amazing. Everybody we've talked to from SEMA and from the Motor Trend and before that, the Velocity networks have been so nice and so down to earth. Absolutely. I completely agree with that. Last thought, and that, of course, I know you got to run, but Houston is where you live. How you guys doing, or how crazy was what you guys had to go through with the weather and the electricity and the water and all that other stuff? How you guys doing with that?
Just like, I mean, look back at Texas history, Houston history, we go through a lot of crap. Hurricanes, floods, crazy snowstorms. We bounce back 100%, 150%. You throw something at us, we're coming back. We're coming back. They're not going to hold us down. They're not going to hold us down.
He isn't floating away, ladies and gentlemen. You got to see him. You got to watch the show. And of course, don't forget to listen, like, share, and important, subscribe to our audio podcast on radio.com and the audio video podcast on our Two Tired Guys Productions YouTube page. When you subscribe, you get all notified about when a new show comes up, and it helps all of us. Follow us on social media, Talking About Cars, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't forget, check out Texas Metal. Tell them all again, Bill, where we can find it.
Man, stream that Motor Trend app.
Yeah.
Motor Trend, Prime, Netflix, Hulu, whatever. We're on it.
All right.
We're killing it.
Check it out. Check out the vehicles we're talking about. Check out some of the other cars that they've done. You're going to have a good time. Bill, thanks so much for joining us. Until next time, I'm Randy. That's Bill. Having fun, talking about cars. We'll see you next time, everybody.
Thank you, Randy.